Welcome to Sports Avenue, your one-stop shop for hot topics in the world of sports. We are your hosts, Jimmy and Steve.
With it being the NFL playoffs this weekend, we will be talking about football mainly today, but expect other sports soon, such as, baseball's coming up, hockey's going on right now. We love hockey. I love hockey anyway. Boxing, and there's a whole lot of stuff we're going to be talking about. MMA, probably never soccer, but stuff like that. So...
A lot to come.
We're going to try and do a show once a week. That's obviously time pending, jobs, school. But that's our plan. At least once a week, we're going to go ahead and do a show and just kind of give you guys the rundown every week as we see fit. So like this week, we're going to talk about Kyler Murray. We're going to start with Kyler Murray. He's going to choose the NFL. Well, he's potentially... Okay, let's backtrack a little bit. He's potentially going to choose the NFL over the MLB.
Not the smartest move.
I think that is absolutely half-witted. But then again, what are you going to do? You're sitting there looking at all that money. He's looking at guaranteed money. He's looking at 20 million guaranteed.
If first-round pick?
Or
first overall.
Yeah, yes. But I haven't seen a single mock that's got him going first overall.
No.
But
there's potential with considering that the head coach, who is now Cliff Kingsbury,
he said he would.
Yeah, I mean, he was at Texas Tech in October when he said that, but
Yeah, but I mean, okay, so let's read a little bit from the article we have here. Okay, so the Oakland A's expect Oklahoma quarterback Kyler Murray to declare for the 2019 NFL Draft before Monday's deadline. Okay, so that's Monday. What's that day? Monday the 14th, right? Okay, so I'm reading that right. The 14th. This is coming from San Francisco Chronicle, and it's citing multiple sources. So Murray, he's a two-sport star is what they're calling him because he can play baseball and football. Was chosen by the A's with the 9th pick overall. Okay, so that's not like 9th round. That's 9th overall pick in the MLB draft. That is very difficult to do. That is not easy to be that good in the eyes of pro scouts for the MLB.
Right.
So he got drafted 9th overall in the 2018 draft for the MLB. And then he signed a deal in June that included a $4.6 million signing bonus and allowed him to play football for the Sooners for one final season before he joined the A's. So, knowing that, looking at that, he's 21. He had success at Oklahoma, and he played for a spot in the playoffs, which we're going to talk about here in a minute. That's something that Jimmy really wants to get into. And he won the Heisman. So now he's not sure if he even wants to play in the MLB.
Well, considering that he could pretty much carry an Oklahoma offense with a very statistically horrid defense. I mean,
the defense, it was one of the worst defenses in the league, or in college football.
Yeah, they had a defensive deficiency of 48, and the lowest college football team was 80.
Yeah, they were really, really bad. And you go ahead and you add in the fact that he played personally. He won the Heisman, so he played well enough to win the Heisman, at least in the eyes of the voters.
Yeah, he was very efficient, but we also have to consider that he was playing Big 12 defenses who, across college football, are probably most of the weak defenses across college, which is a main problem if you're going to look at him as a quarterback.
I agree. I think that if you're going to sit there and you're going to take into account that he's playing these defenses, and then Tua was when he came second, right?
Yes.
And he's playing SEC defenses all the time. Did he play in a single fourth quarter all year? I mean,
probably against LSU, maybe Auburn, because
we're just kind of jabbing. I don't know off the top of my head, but I mean, realistically, the Alabama offense with Tua running it was so efficient that he actually didn't play in some fourth quarters.
Multiple second halves.
Yeah.
Granted, they had some games where they were against facing a Citadel, UL Monroe. Granted, those aren't the strongest teams, and they're usually the SEC out of conference schedule is pretty weak. But at the same time, Alabama has always been a powerhouse under Nick Saban. So even with facing those poor teams, you have to consider they are always in the playoff runnings every year, and if not, there's still always tough teams to play.
Yeah. But moving on to, making it to the college playoffs, they got wrecked. They got absolutely stomped.
That was my main thing with Kyler. If he was playing Alabama, and I think this was more of a make or break decision with him, because if he did well against Alabama, I think he has to push his chips in and say, I'm going to the NFL, I'm going to prove it, because I'm facing potentially half of the players on the Alabama defense are going
pro, and they're going to go in the first 20 picks.
Right. And when I was watching the game, and I was watching Kyler in that first half, man, and you're down 21-0, and he's taking hits. He's running the ball. He can't stay in the pocket, and when he's staying in the pocket, he can't throw it because you're looking across guys that are 6'3", 350 pounds running at you.
Well, Jimmy, what are you trying to say? You trying to say that he's short? That's
Yes.
what a lot of people said about Baker. Baker's short. He's not tall enough. He's never going to make it in the league.
But the problem is
Baker's not 5'8".
But we're talking about Kyler Murray. It was looking at 5'10".
He's listed at 5'10".
I'm 5'9".
There's no way.
Baker also has the ability to have good pocket presence. Kyler is not known for pocket presence.
No.
And if you don't have pocket presence and you're not able to take a lot of hits, and we're also got to consider Baker is very stocky. I mean, he's not
a small dude. He's got a hot dad bod going.
Yeah, so that's my thing. Baker, Russell Wilson, Drew Brees. These guys, when you look at them, they're not. I don't want to say twigs, but they're very.
They can take hits, but
yes,
they don't take a lot of sacks.
They're very aware with what they are doing in the pocket.
Kyler takes sacks.
I mean, and you saw
bad ones, and he takes bad hits.
The one play that stood out to me when he was playing Alabama, Quinnen Williams. Granted, it could have been considered a cheap shot. He just takes Kyler's head off. You see the helmet flying in the back. Kyler was just. I think he was. I don't want to say that, but I think he was flabbergasted.
Flabbergasted.
I just don't think he was. I don't want to say prepared, but he wasn't ready to face a defense of that caliber.
Boy.
Caliber, and I think once the second half started, he was able to start getting his wits together. And granted, he did play well, but I think Alabama at that point was starting to strategize and say, we're playing for the championship, and we're not going to get our players hurt trying to put the pedal on.
And they didn't need to. I mean, and they didn't need to. But the thing that kills me about it is Deshaun Watson. He stopped Bama twice.
Mm-hmm.
Stopped him twice.
I think the way they go, would he split 1-1?
But he still beat him down.
It was a competitive game. Granted,
it was very competitive, and he played exceptionally well.
Granted, Oklahoma, in a way, did make it a game towards the end, but at the same time, we're also considering that Alabama had the game from the start. A 21-0 was too much for almost any team, and you're considering that a defense that cannot play in Oklahoma, if you can't stop an offense, when's Kyler going to get the ball? And if you're going 3 and out and you're not producing points, Oklahoma's only way to win this game was by going head-to-head with Tua, scoring points every drive. They could not miss any opportunities. If you're going down 21-0, there was no chance.
No, there's no chance. I agree. There's no chance. I mean, and realistically, even you have to take into account he didn't have the greatest offensive line, even though a couple of them they declare they're going to go pro.
Mm-hmm.
But even with that said, their style of offense was so. It was like a moving zone. Like you snap and run, you know what I mean? It was like his pocket presence was never able to develop because that's not the offense they ran.
I gotta say, but what Kyler and Baker do have in common is they both make great plays out of the pocket though. Once Baker gets out in the open field,
man, his plays out of the pocket are just so great.
That's the thing. I think Kyler needs a solid offensive line. I think what helped with Baker once the new regime came in for the second half of the season was that. The interior linemen, the linemen did their job. Granted, they got to improve over this offseason. But there's a lot of potential if Kyler can get a good offensive line. If you're looking at a team like Arizona, who could be potentially looking at him with the first overall pick, they had a very bad O-line. You're also considering that they have a great running back in David Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, they do. But you look at it as David Johnson, he's at least 2 years he played fantastic, and he's been not much.
Well, it struggled since when they brought in Steve Wilkes. They don't have what they used to, especially considering the guys that they have are keeping older, and they're not able to bring fresh talent in. because people don't want to play for Arizona. Their organization's not the best, considering that they brought a head coach in who got fired from the Texas Tech, and he was a subpar 500 coach.
Oh, you're talking about Kingsbury. Yeah.
Yes.
So
he was known as an offensive. He's a great offensive mind. That's great, but at the same time, you're considering that he got fired from a college, and he's coming to the NFL, and that's.
Well, he got fired by Tech, and then he picked up a job being the offensive coordinator for USC,
yep.
and then like a month later, the Cards said, "Hey, we want you." And I'm pretty sure if Kyler says, "Yeah, I want to get drafted," I'm pretty sure they're going to take him.
Yeah, they got.
And I think that's crazy.
Considering that they took Josh Rosen, and I don't think he's bad. I don't think he's that bad.
I don't know. I don't really care about it. I gotta be honest. Out of everybody in the quarterback class last year, I didn't care for any of them. I saw Baker, and I saw Baker for the talent he was very, very late.
Yes, me as well.
Personally, I saw him. It was actually after they drafted him when I really looked at his tape, and I was like, "Wow, this dude is special. I can't believe I missed it."
I think what bought me in on Baker was when he played against Georgia. Granted, they lost, but he was in it. You know, granted they were up most of the game, and he faced a top 3 defense in Georgia who had a bunch of guys, Roquan Smith. Who else? I mean, that team, Georgia, Alabama, those SEC teams are stacked with potential.
Every single year. That's why the SEC is the division beat.
Yep. And Baker hung in with them. Granted, he had a much better team than Kyler did, but still.
I agree with that. But, I mean, Kyler's got weapons, too. He is good. Oh, yeah. He's got good receivers.
He has solid running backs.
And the thing is that because of his style of play, his line really, it matters very little because he doesn't stay in the pocket long.
But the problem is it's a very different league in the NFL when you're taking hits from linebackers that can be considered defensive ends.
All right, moving on. We're going to start talking about the mock drafts. There's been a couple come out since the regular season ended, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna review a few of these real quick. In the first draft, we talk about it. This is actually a goofy one. It includes Murray. This is the only one that includes Kyler Murray. But so it has the Jaguars trading up to the 5th pick from the 7th pick to take Dwayne Haskins. Now, ever since Dwayne Haskins has said he's declaring he's coming out, it's been a great big deal because he's viewed as the top quarterback in this class until Kyler Murray. But even so, in this specific mock draft, it's got Haskins going 5th overall to the Jags. The Browns take N'Keal Harry at the 17th pick, who's a receiver, which I very much so disagree with. Very, very much so disagree with. I don't know. I don't know how you sit there and look and say, well, the Browns need more weapons. The Browns were the second best offense the last 8 games of the year. Second best. And they have Jarvis Landry and David Njoku and Rashard Higgins and Rashad Perriman, who, surprisingly, I think if you don't re-sign Rashad Perriman and Rashard Higgins, I think you're stupid. But
yeah, Rashard Higgins definitely because he improved a lot.
They called him the most improved player on the team, which I think he was. I really do. I really do.
What surprised me was seeing that the Browns were able to take Greg Robinson and Rashad Perriman, who were first-round busts by the Rams and Ravens, respectively.
Yeah.
I mean, the Browns are known for the deathbed for most of those players, especially quarterbacks. And you're looking at this team, and they're using guys that were pretty much useless and almost had no good career after.
Yeah.
And they take them, they make them viable, which was, to me, very interesting to watch this year.
I agree. I absolutely agree. But in this first mock, it has the Patriots taking Kyler Murray at 29th. The Patriots. And it says that, well, I can't. What did it say? Go ahead, read it.
Bill Belichick, or I quote, Bill Belichick has made a career out of staying well ahead of the curve and inventing new ways to manufacture offensive production. Is it time for him to draft Tom Brady's heir apparent? Murray has a lot more pocket passing skills than you'd expect for a small athletic quarterback.
That's the info it gives with the pick and why. And I think that's insane. I just absolutely not. You cannot look at me and say that a dude that is 5'8", I mean, like legitimately 5'8", okay, is going to convert him. I mean, the best he will ever be is a converted slot receiver because the dude's quick.
He's very fast.
He's got ninja skill. He really does.
He is very elusive. I'm not even gonna say he's a running back. I think he'd be a great corner, wide receiver. You know, I don't know.
Oh, he'd be a good corner.
The thing is, I don't know how his hands are though. You don't know about that. But at the same time, he could. You know, it more or less depends. He's got to be able to put on weight, but at the same time, that affects his speed. That affects his elusiveness.
Absolutely.
So
and you know he could go for like 2-3 inches. That'd be great.
Yeah, but if he was it's same thing with Baker. If this dude was 6'3", if Kyler Murray was 6'3", 6'2", there's no doubt about it. But the problem is, I think with Kyler is that he is very short compared to. He'd probably be the shortest quarterback in the NFL.
He absolutely would, because Baker's listed at 5'11". Drew Brees is listed at 6, barely 6.
Well, they said Baker 6'1", but he's probably like 5'11", 6 feet. Maybe.
Okay, and then Russell Wilson's listed at 5'11".
Mm-hmm.
And this guy he's listed at what is it actually 5'10"? But he's actually, I mean, you look at pictures with him against like Tua at the Heisman ceremony. Dude's tiny, man.
The thing, I mean, which also is they were saying Denzel Ward was like 100 or like 200 pounds.
Oh yeah, he's actually like 180.
Yeah,
he came out and said in an interview.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And you look, I mean, Denzel Ward, I think, is a good example. The dude tried to lay the hammer on some people.
Oh, man, he's getting...
And guess what?
Straight getting murked.
Three concussions
dude,
this year.
Dig the grave, bro. Yeah. I mean, really learn how to tackle. Greg Williams was absolutely right to criticism when he did.
Yeah, Denzel Ward's a great player, but...
He is. He made the Pro Bowl, but guess what? He also had 3 concussions this year.
Yeah, again, you know, if we're going to be in this age where CTE is very, very important and is very prominent in the NFL landscape... You know, that's something to consider, you know, and now the Browns, you know, they're talking about drafting another corner and replacing him if Denzel Ward cannot last. But I hope that's not the case because Denzel Ward is a legit corner and he could be one of the best.
Oh, absolutely. This mock draft was from CBS Sports from Chris Trapasso. And like I said, this was the only mock that we saw of Murray that was included in. The other mock drafts, however, I'm going to save a little bit of time here. I have Haskins going to the Giants at the 6th overall pick, which I think is the right pick.
I think between the Jacksonville Jaguars and Giants, if within the early picks, those are the only 2 spots I think he really has a chance of going to.
Yeah.
Because someone will definitely take him and use him as a heir apparent, like if the Patriots, if they really want to go that route.
And realistically, if the Cards want him, they're going to stay at 1, and they're going to take him at 1.
But the problem is he's a pocket passer. He doesn't like to run the ball.
I mean, by 1 a quarter. Well, I mean, they may not stay at 1. Because the Cards they might take Murray at 1, and then they'll just let things roll. But I'm thinking if you really, because nobody else needs a quarterback, right? You look at the mocks. I mean, San Fran's got their guy. The Jets really like Darnold.
Well,
San
Francisco's got Nick Mullins, even if Jimmy G can.
And Oakland shouldn't draft a quarterback because
Derek Carr is still good.
Derek Carr is underrated. I think that Derek Carr really took the short end of the stick this year.
Oh, he took a brunt of a organization that decided to clean house.
Mid-year.
It took an entire system. He did the best he could, and you're talking considering that there was pretty much no defense, very minimal offense. You're talking about a guy whose main targets were Jared Cook and Jordy Nelson. I mean,
both guys that are past their prime.
So you say Marshawn Lynch too? He couldn't stay out.
Marshawn beast mode.
Great.
Marshawn Lynch has not been relevant for years anyway.
Well, since he retired, anyways.
So I mean, realistically, the Cards, if they really wanted to maintain their first overall pick, they could.
Yeah,
and you could go to the Giants in Jacksonville and be like, hey, we're going to offer up Rosen.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Giants would jump on that.
Oh, definitely.
I think the Giants would absolutely take that.
He's a guy like Eli.
Yep.
Dwayne, those guys are very similar. They got great arm talent. I think they both have great knowledge of the game. They both have they're both very intelligent. They both learned. Well, UCLA was not a very strong program with Rosen.
No.
But the problem is, I don't think he was the problem. That program was
I think it's the program itself.
Yeah, UCLA has never been very strong. They are usually.
I think Rosen needs the right coach. He needs the right quarterbacks coach.
Yes, I agree.
I think honestly, I think Eli can give him pointers. I think if the Giants keep Eli, it's explicitly as a mentor, a veteran status backup. You bring in Rosen, you trade for Rosen, you give your 6th overall pick for Rosen. Dude's it's going to be his second year in the league. Yeah. So he's young, he's not old, so it's not like you're losing a lot with the 6, and you give him you give the Giants maybe a couple picks.
Yeah.
And boom, there you go. And now you have another pick on a defensive prominent draft, definitely D-heavy draft.
Yes, very.
And you put yourself in the position to take really.
Granted, any of these teams will look at Nick Bosa because you're also looking at his brother Joey Bosa. And You're seeing that with the potential that you can get with a defensive rusher.
Yep. I mean, yeah. So realistically, you may lose Nick Bosa, but that might open the door for Clelin Ferrell or Quinnen Williams.
Yeah.
Or you have plenty of options. Granted, Nick Bosa is the consensus number 1.
Yes.
But I still think you have plenty of options here. So we have 2 more mocks that we went through. The mock by FueledBySports.com has the Packers taking Drew Lock from Missouri at 12th overall.
Yeah, I have not seen much on him. But
I haven't either.
But if we're looking at, he's 6'4", 225, that's prototype,
Yeah, I mean, he's got good size, but size is not it. Size is not all. I mean, for the Packers, Rodgers, you got a cannon. Dude's got an arm.
Yeah, everyone was saying on Nate Rodgers, and we also have to consider that he didn't have a coach that agreed with him. I think their relationship was starting to get stale.
It had to have. I mean, that's why he's gone and Rodgers isn't.
I think the thing is their management has been struggling. They're not getting young weapons. They signed Jimmy Graham.
Oh, my God. You signed Jimmy Graham. Don't get me wrong. I drafted him in my fantasy league mainly because it's the Packers' offense. It's a high-powered offense, or it was supposed to be. And he let me down big. And I thought it was going to be his reviving. I'm like, all right, man. He's low on weapons. I'm like, man, Jimmy Graham, he had a spark before. Mm-hmm. I was excited about it, and he just didn't.
Mm-hmm. I think I just think the team is continuing to get old, and they're struggling to get in young talent, which can complement Rodgers. The offensive line is very good. He's not. At one point he had like 23 touchdowns and 1 interception. It's not like he's not efficient. I just think the problem is, your main weapon's Devontae Adams. Randall Cobb was hurt most of the year.
Yeah. And Devontae Adams, don't get me wrong, he was on my fantasy team too. He did me a lot of favors this year, but
he's a great receiver.
He is, but he's one.
That's one exactly. Guy. I think it's the same thing with I hate to use this comparison, but like Dak Prescott, Amari Cooper.
Ugh.
Dak Prescott likes to, that's his main guy, and you see what his stats did for him, his.
I mean, yeah. You see what his stats did.
Granted, Dak
Prescott
they
improved.
Dak Prescott's got, Ezekiel Elliott. Aaron Rodgers has got Jamal Williams.
A lot of people say that doesn't matter.
But
doesn't matter. He's got Zeke. Doesn't matter. The guys from Pro Football Focus said there is absolutely zero reason to not pass every single play.
I don't agree with that.
You're part of the. We're not. I mean, you're part of the old crew.
Well,
you're a non-believer.
Okay,
they say that the running game is absolutely obsolete. There is absolutely no reason to run the ball.
So why are guys like, okay, let's put in that, okay, why is Todd Gurley important? Why is Alvin Kamara important? Why is Mark Ingram important?
They all can catch the ball. Every single one of them can catch the ball out of the backfield.
Okay, but then that makes you one-dimensional. Why do you think teams... Okay, if you look at the wild card week, how many teams... What was the highest point total? I think 22, 24? It was a strong defensive battle in almost every game except say the Colts and Texans.
I'm just saying, and when you go ahead and you say, Zeke this and Zeke that and Zeke this, don't get me wrong, I agree. I think the running game, you need to establish the run, and these guys, it's not even remotely close to being true. They are completely against it. They say all the stats show it, and I don't see it because I look at Todd Gurley, I look at Ezekiel Elliott, who was the leading rusher in the league this year. I look at, how many countless other people. You know what I mean?
I think, if anything, the running game is evolving. You're able to use these running backs and put them in multiple formations, use them as wide receivers, but at the same time, if you don't have that running game, I think a good comparison is you look at when the Chiefs had Kareem Hunt. They were almost unstoppable. Every
I
team.
mean, realistically, yeah.
I mean, you had Pat Mahomes doing everything on the field and anything. You know, he could throw to Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt set up so much.
Yeah.
And once he left, he did struggle. I mean,
Well, he did. I mean, because you have to try and work with another
struggle for him is not much of a struggle, but he's
Yeah,
granted,
but I know what you're saying.
he had much more of a decline. He didn't have that same constant production
Yes.
every week.
Yes. All right, we got a little off topic. All right, let's get back to it. Okay, so we can talk about all that again on a different show.
Yeah.
We were at Drew Lock. Okay, so we're obviously huge Browns fans here. We're from Cleveland area. We talk a lot about the Browns. Both of us like Greg Williams. Both of us sad Greg Williams gone. So, but in this specific mock draft, they have the Browns taking Dexter Lawrence from Clemson. So he's the D tackle that was suspended for PEDs. I'm very much so against that. I do not want that. I do not want that pick whatsoever.
I think the problem with me is that they would be using their first round pick on that. If this was the same thing, if this is the instance where they take Antonio Callaway in the 4th round.
Yeah, because he's going to be there, or he realistically should be there.
Yeah, because again, everyone was saying Antonio Callaway, he's a first round talented pick.
Yep.
But guess what? He slides to 4th. If you're taking, I think, too much of a reach with Lawrence, if he's just going to be doing this.
Absolutely. If he's going to run the risk for that, and that's why they took a 4th round pick, and it was like the next week, this guy was found drugs and guns in your car.
Yeah.
And he was like, wow, sorry, coach, I didn't, and then Hugh, as a punishment, he plays him the whole game. Kid has a great game. But the Browns taking a D tackle, I think that's silly. Yes, they do need one, but I think they need offensive tackles more. I actually wrote an article about that for the Dog Pound Daily. I am Steve. I am a writer for the Dog Pound Daily, and I think that without a doubt the Browns need offensive tackles. You look at the interior 3 were all top 10 offensive linemen in their respective positions.
Oh, yes.
Even J.C. Treader, according to Pro Football Focus, was the number 7 center in the entire league. And then Zeitler and Bitonio were like 4th and 5th at guard.
Yeah, that's why I think Nick Chubb had such a successful year.
Oh my God, yeah, because you're pulling guards wherever he's going, and guess what?
Chubb thrives within the tackles.
Oh, yes, he does.
That's why he got those 3 rushing attempts, and you would have 150 yards.
Yeah,
it's insane.
And what gets me is the guard or the tackles, Greg Robinson, Chris Hubbard, and Desmond Harrison. They Hubbard and Robinson ranked 51st and 64th. So realistically, on 32 teams in the pros, yes, they were good enough to be starters, but they were trash starters. You don't want to just settle. You want to go for better. Yeah. And I think if the Browns make a move in free agency, then this draft stuff, throw it out the window. Mm-hmm. Draft whatever. Draft a corner. That would be okay. I think that they need to draft a corner just in case Ward either gets hurt again or again, or you can draft better. And that's my personal opinion.
If they are able to get some tackles in free agency, I definitely think they need to go corner. I think they definitely need to look at depth for the linebacker position. Those guys got banged up a lot this year.
Yeah.
Gerard Avery was, I think, and Jamie Collins were the only main ones.
Yeah, Jamie Collins, the guy who literally was a week 8. They said he was taking plays off or something. It was something crazy.
Yeah,
and then week 9 he comes out and he has his best game of the year. He led the team in tackles.
Yes.
But then again, Joe Schobert was hurt. Kirksey was hurt for the last 5 games or something crazy.
He took a bad injury as well.
I mean,
I think there's a lot of depth that I think that the Browns look at depth. I think that's where they need to use their strengths because they have starters. They have great players almost in every position.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, you have very reliable players at every position. I think you need to sign Demarius Randall long term.
Oh yeah,
long term.
Yes.
I think you need to pay Jabril Peppers when he comes out of his rookie contract.
Yep.
And you got to keep that, or they're going to get rid of him because that's not what that was a Greg Williams thing, if I remember right. Because he was really ecstatic they got Jabril.
Jabril fit into the schemes that.
Yes.
And I think this year we saw what Peppers can bring to the table. I think this was
Yeah, they do too. He
Well,
had a great year.
his rookie year. It was a lot suspect because I wasn't sure where he was a lot of the time.
Yeah.
They were playing him, and now they started packaging him in blitzes.
Yep.
They got him more aggressive, and he was able to hit without getting flagged. He had a couple, I think, but
Yeah, but he was. I mean, they really.
he changed. I mean, he gave the Browns that win against Denver. You know.
Yes, he did. Almost single-handedly.
Yeah, the interception. I mean, he was all over the field that game.
And then that sack to close it out. I remember jumping off my couch screaming.
I was ecstatic.
Ugh.
I was ecstatic, man. He can play. I
Yes,
think.
he can. But to finish up this this Field by Sports mock, we said the Patriots took Kyler in the last one. In this one, they take Daniel Jones at 29.
See, I'm not very aware of how Duke is in terms of like producing football players. So, granted, he is another prototypical quarterback, 6'5", 220. If they're looking for the long term in terms of they think Tom Brady does not have much left.
Which, I mean, yeah, he's still going to the playoffs. He still had a good year, but he had a bad year for Tom Brady.
Oh yeah, this was I think towards the end of the year it was very un-Tom Brady like, which I think starts, if you're built.
I would say, hey, this is beginning of the end.
But at the same time, do you want to take a risk on a guy coming out of Duke that
No.
one really has ever heard
not
of?
at all. No.
I think.
Coming out of the ACC? No, absolutely not.
I mean, if we're talking about this guy last year, this guy probably doesn't get picked until the second, third round,
No.
maybe.
I don't.
Again, this guy comes out of Duke. A lot of, like last year, a lot of guys coming out of prominent colleges. Duke. I think this year with being such an offense, it's not strong in the offensive department.
I mean, honestly, if you're really going to look at it, Rosen would fit in there too. Rosen
Yes.
would fit in New England pretty well.
The only problem is that they play in cold weather, and Rosen is a West Coast guy. So
Yes, he is. Yeah, he is.
that's your only problem. I mean, I think Rosen wants to play something.
And they don't play in a dome, so
Nope, no. I mean, same thing with what was the trade to the Giants? I mean, he's still playing in cold weather.
Yeah, he is.
Coming around December, and I think
so that's why then I guess Jacksonville would make sense.
oh yeah,
So if you're gonna do that, I mean Jacksonville at 7, you realistically could make that.
Mm-hmm.
But I personally think that Dwayne Haskins is the better pick. Way light years above Kyler Murray in my opinion.
I think if you're looking from if you want a long-term quarterback, and I think Dwayne Haskins is your guy. He's very calm in the pocket. He can make most of those throws you ask of him. I think the Ohio State didn't have the strongest receivers that they've had in the past, like Michael Thomas.
Oh yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, Michael Thomas. You look what he translated to in the pros. I don't think they even came close to that. I don't think they've had that in a very long time.
Granted, they had good quality receivers in Paris Campbell, KJ Hill.
Yeah, Paris Campbell. We're going to talk about in the next mock.
I personally thought those guys were solid, but again, you're not having that 6'3" red zone target. And I think Haskins did very well. And he didn't run the ball that much.
I think he did ecstatic.
And you're also considering that the Ohio State did not have much of a strong running game as I was expecting this year. I thought they were going to be...
I did too with Weber. Oh, man.
Weber and Dobbins, those guys are very good running backs.
Yes, absolutely. They are, I don't excuse this, they are not Zeke, but they run a lot like he does.
Yeah, they're downhill. Yep.
Yes. Zeke he's faster and he's more consistent.
Zeke just wears you down.
Yes.
I think that's why Cardale Jones, when they made that 2014 championship run...
Cardale Jones.
You're just thinking about it. Give Zeke the ball 20, 30 times. Then you have Devin Smith. You have...
God, who else was on that team? I mean, yeah.
I think Michael Thomas was on that team.
Yeah, he might have been.
You have that play action, and Cardale can just launch it in 40, 50 yards. And Devin Smith made a lot of clutch plays, I mean, I think that's why Alabama... you're facing that Alabama team. You were facing Nick Saban, and if you're looking at Ohio State, I think Zeke is a very big factor when it comes into that championship run.
I absolutely agree. I don't think you're wrong whatsoever. All right, we're going to move on to this third mock here from DraftSite.com. So here we go. Jacksonville takes Daniel Jones at 7th overall, right after the Giants take Haskins. So now these last two mocks, they don't include Murray. I personally feel that this quarterback class is abundantly low.
Yeah,
it is very trash.
This draft, I think, is very unique because, granted, there's a lot of defensive talent that comes out, but I mean
a lot. Like there's gonna be first round talent taken in the third round.
Oh yeah, I mean you're talking about talent that I think you don't see drafts much where it's not offensive heavy, and you're looking at this draft thinking you don't know many guys because you really don't see that dominating performance, Kyler Murray was dominant. Tua was dominant. Dwayne Haskins was
Yeah,
dominant.
but Kyler Murray was dominant in college. We've
Yes.
seen this time and time again.
Yeah, it's about what translates. Yes.
Exactly. He is a college quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, you see a lot of these quarterbacks
Yes.
that are scramblers,
Yes.
and they're legit, and you
Yes.
like Tyrod Taylor was a great in college.
Yes.
Michael Vick, they both came from Virginia Tech.
Lamar Jackson
Lamar Jackson was very good.
in college.
Yes.
And I think I don't like Lamar Jackson. Obviously, we are Browns fans, so because we are Browns fans, we absolutely hate the Ravens and Steelers. But I just think he's just a trash quarterback.
I think what was the problem was that he faced. I think his main question right now is when he played the Chargers the second time around at home, he took a beating for 3.5 quarters, and that fourth quarter is when the Chargers started playing defense or prevent defense, and
That's when he started looking good. Yeah, because all he does is throw. Was skipping Shannon Dink and Dak?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Lamar, if he learns to throw the ball, because in my opinion, I think he has the weapons. Crabtree's not bad. John Brown.
No, it's Crabtree. Crabtree gets a bad rap. Crabtree is not bad. John Brown
after the 49ers Seattle game.
Yep. John Brown is highly underrated.
He's a very underrated slot receiver.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very quality.
Yep, I don't think they used him properly. Personally,
well, the offensive system is run the ball a ton. Expect your defense to play. I think that's the problem. That when they face the Chargers, there was a team that can go both sides of the ball.
Yep.
Special teams.
Yep.
And you just can't match that because
because your quarterbacks are freaking Joe Flacco, who had
he's over the hill.
Absolutely, I'll say he had a fluke year. They won the Super Bowl because that was the only year he was even semi decent, and the defense didn't. Well, that was Ray Lewis's last year, so obviously they're gonna. Come on,
Ed Reed too,
and Ed Reed too. So when you look at it like that,
and Terrell Suggs was
younger, not crippled and old. So when you look at it like that, you had a younger, better defense. The defense isn't bad this year, but when you have...
No, defense was a top... It was one of the top defenses, probably, if not the top.
Yeah, and, Baker threw all over him twice, but, hey, details.
Just didn't get the points.
Didn't get the points.
Well, the last game he did, but he made a couple crucial mistakes.
But what I'm saying is, when you have quarterbacks who never should have gotten paid like Flacco, he should have been not let go, but he definitely shouldn't have been paid the way he was.
Oh, no, not at all.
Oh, he's elite. No, never has he ever been elite.
I think his case was more of a Nick Foles type situation where he's kind of I would say pedestrian in the regular season. Then like when he came to the postseason, he did show up. He did produce when it was needed to do it.
Yeah, I think that Lamar's gonna end up falling on his face.
Yeah, if he doesn't.
I mean, all he is RG3 revamp. That's it. That's all he is. That is all Kyler Murray is.
I think the problem is that RG3 he knew how to throw a ball. He knew how to throw a deep ball. I think.
Yeah, RG3 had, in my opinion, he had better passing ability than Lamar.
I think that's the problem. Well, he also had good receivers in college. Louisville, I'm not very knowledgeable of in terms of what they produce because he had Josh Gordon a big Baylor. Again, they're Big 12, strong offensive presence. I just think with Lamar, if he doesn't learn how to fix his mechanics, or because you can't run it, you can't run it all the time because
exactly you can't.
It takes one hit to change your career. Look at RG3; it took him one game in the play.
One hit, and then he was hobbling the rest of his friggin' life.
Yeah, he lost it.
He lost that edge.
He lost his career. Yeah,
and he essentially lost his career, and that's sad to see. He was a good guy. I liked his personality. I liked him a lot. I liked him as a player.
Yeah,
and then you go and that your play in college is superior to everybody, and it doesn't translate to the pros because you can't stand in the pocket or you don't have any pocket presence because all you're doing is running read options and rolling out, and that doesn't work when your tackles are 350 pounds and they can't keep up with you.
Yeah, I think Lamar definitely has to take this off season, or he has to take next season as a prove it, as in you can throw the ball, not you can't throw it 15, 20 times a game. You can put it in 30 times a game and be efficient. You can't just be throwing for 16 for 28, 32 with 160 yards. That's not going to fly in the NFL. Once these teams start scheming you, like the Chargers did, they had 7 defensive backs.
Yeah, they were running 7 defensive backs so that the guys can spy and keep up with them. That's it.
Granted,
there you go.
Granted, not many defenses had the versatility of Derwin James.
Yeah, that's true.
Phillips was another one. I mean, those guys are very efficient in that defense. Yeah. Very good.
But yet again, we got off topic. So back to the mock. All right, so Jacksonville takes Daniel Jones at 7. Yep. DeAndre Baker, who I personally like at corner. I've done research. I like his size. I like his athleticism. Mm-hmm. He goes at 16th to Carolina. And like I said, I think he's the quarterback the Browns should try and go for if he's available.
Yes, 'cause I think size. If he's from Georgia, so
he'd be a corner that could take that hit that Denzel Ward cannot.
It says he's listed here at 5'11", 180, but I think...
I saw him at 6'1", 2.
Yeah,
like 2.
Yeah, I don't...
So, I don't know. Maybe he got shorter and dropped weight. I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, again, Georgia, Kirby Smart, Nick Saban coaching tree, defense, Alabama usually produces solid defensive players.
Yeah, yes, they absolutely have.
So Kirby Smart came from Nick Saban's neck of the woods, so I would not doubt Georgia. I mean, you look at recent picks, Leonard Floyd on Chicago, Roquan Smith also on Chicago. You're looking at solid pieces on a defense. And
yep.
I think DeAndre Baker, if he's 6'1", 210, and he's not listed like Denzel Ward, he can be a fierce cornerback in this league.
Yeah, I mean, even at 5'11", 180, he
put a couple pounds on.
I mean, he looked bigger than Denzel. So yeah. I'd say.
Yeah, I think he would be a good fit in Cleveland.
I do too. I think he could
play. He could play slot. He can probably play the number 2 if Denzel Ward can cover the 1. I mean, he's that physical guy.
Yep. And the next pick, the Browns, they the mock has him taking Christian Wilkins from Clemson. Which I don't necessarily hate that pick. I don't hate taking a defensive lineman to pair up with
Ogunjobi.
Yeah, with Larry.
Yeah.
It's not a bad pick, but I feel that they need to offensive tackle more. And in this specific mock, Jonah Williams falls to 18th.
Yes,
right after the Browns, and I think you got to take him.
Yeah,
you need to take who is potentially your future left tackle.
Right. Yep.
And
Alabama again, they have great. Their players in the trenches are premier.
They have to be because
these guys are battle tested.
Yep.
These guys are not flukes. I mean, you're talking about 6'5", 301. That is a left tackle.
Yeah.
That is a guy that can stop your best premier edge rusher.
Yes. And he's only going to get better because in practice, who's he going to go against? Myles freaking Garrett.
Myles Garrett. Ogunjobi's a great pass rusher.
Yes, he is. And I think Emmanuel Ogbah, he's fighting injuries. And actually, I would not be surprised if the Browns trade him.
Yeah, there is.
I've already heard.
Rumors were going around
that they're going to trade him. Which at this point, this is he just got through his 3rd year with them.
Yes.
So I think you've had enough time, and he has not produced, and he's only been injury prone. So they might get the 6th round pick for him. Or I mean,
well, Dorsey knows how to work his magic with trades.
John Dorsey, all hail John Dorsey.
Yeah, he's definitely. I very skeptical of his trades when he made against Hyde. I'm thinking 5th round pick.
I was iffy about all that with Hyde, and then I realized that Nick Chubb, 1,000-yard rusher, and
you're talking about a couple start. I mean, like 10, 11 starts.
Yeah, and it's just gross. But with the last pick in the 1st round of this mock, the Packers, this is all hypothetical trade with New Orleans. They take Paris Campbell out of Ohio State.
This is the first time I've seen him going into the first round.
I mean, the Packers. You're taking a receiver when clearly Aaron Rodgers can get the ball to anybody.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily feel that a receiver is the issue. Like the Browns, like in the one mock earlier, taking N'Keal Harry, he is not. I don't think the Browns need a receiver. I really don't. I think if you come out next year with exactly what you had, I mean, what did I tell you? Second best offense in the league, the second half of the year.
Yeah, Freddie Kitchens, whoever the OC is, possibly Ryan Lindley, I think is the rumor.
Oh, that's a rumor.
I
don't know enough about him. All I know is that he'd be promoted from like assistant to coach in college and some.
I think Freddie Kitchens has a hold of this offense, and I think I will trust that he knows what he's doing, and I think he needs to develop this offense. I believe that the Browns could use a number 1, and I think that would complement Jarvis Landry greatly.
You and I have talked about this. You think Jarvis gets paid number 1 money, but he's number 2, and you're not wrong. Jarvis gets paid hella money.
Oh yeah,
and I think a lot of it is the Browns can afford it.
I think,
but at this point,
yeah.
I think the Browns need to keep enough of cap space so that they can pay Baker.
They gotta pay these guys on their rookie contracts. Myles Garrett's gonna want a monster contract,
And he deserves one.
Peppers is gonna want a hefty one. You know, I mean, you're gonna have a lot of guys wanting some money, and you know what? You can't blame them. They all, I mean, if this year is what the future is showing, you can't deny that these guys are your centerpieces for the future.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, and I think rightfully so. However,
yes,
I think that the Browns, although they had some disappointing drives throughout the year, I think that they showed that Perriman potentially can be that number one.
Oh yeah, out of when he was coming out of UCF, I was pretty I always thought the Browns could have taken him. I thought you're talking about a guy that's 6'3", 6'4",
and he can fly. Dude has wings.
Yeah, and that's what I think. If he doesn't have hands though, what good is he? So if he can develop his hands, become a big playmaker, I mean, I think the world's your oyster at that point with having offensive weapons because
I agree.
Because you have Nick Chubb,
I agree.
you've got Landry, you got
You
Callaway.
have
three. If Perriman comes along, you have a great three-man.
I think Antonio Callaway was literally a couple penalties and 2 drops away from being an absolute stud.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
I mean, realistically, what he had the 1 drop on the 1.
He had that game against Houston where he got.
It was a fumble.
Yep.
And then he had a couple drops that were deep too.
Yeah.
And then he had at least 2 that were called back for holding calls from Robinson, just from Greg Robinson specifically. Yeah. So I think absolutely he is literally 5 plays away from being a big name in the league.
Oh, Callaway, I definitely think if he stays on this road where he stays out of trouble, can stay healthy, you're talking a guy that can pretty much, I think, replace where Corey Coleman was supposed to be.
Oh yeah, you said that too. Corey Coleman. I also think in this different offense, Corey Coleman probably would flourish. I think
if he stayed healthy. I think he had that hand problem.
Yeah, the one hand he kept breaking 15 times.
Yeah, again.
What a bum. All right, we're gonna go ahead and move on to coaches hiring and firing throughout the NFL. Okay, so I'm gonna go team by team that fired their head coaches and what they're looking at right now. So the Jets, they fired Todd Bowles, they hired Adam Gase.
I think that was a good choice for the Jets. I think Gase fits what Darnold needs.
I don't think so at all.
If we're talking about this is a QB, if you're looking at your future, I think this is
and I disagree. I think what they had in Miami was faster paced.
I mean, in my opinion, I think Miami's just the middle of the road. I think the Jets are at this point where they need to start getting 7-9, 8-8.
I think the Jets are trash. I think the Jets.
They just have a lack of talent. They're not very strong in any positions.
Their defense in Greg Williams, double G. He's going to the Jets, and that breaks my freaking heart because I love that man.
I think Greg Williams. I think what made him. I think the problem is that the Browns didn't have a lot of depth in the positions. Like their front 7, those guys got hurt a little bit, and I think that showed.
Yep.
I think the schemes. I think the team that was built was fit for the Williams defense, and I think. Yes. Granted, statistically, if you look at the ranks, they were very very bad. Yeah. But I think if you're looking at the talent, though, I think it's undeniable that they could be a top 10 defense without a doubt because that talent. I'm just saying, you get guys that can play behind the starters.
Yes.
You're looking at a legit defense. I mean, you're looking to get a team like the Bears.
Oh man, the Bears. Yeah, that'd be great. That would be fantastic. Yep. I think.
But I think the difference right now is that the Browns got a quarterback. I think that's what helps I think that's what makes the team look very promising. Is that the Browns now have a quarterback that I think it fits the personality of their city. So I think there's a good future.
I agree. I don't disagree with that. I just think Gase in the Jets. I think he'll be good for Darnold, but I think he'll be bad for everybody else. Right. I do not think that's going to mesh well. I personally don't think that the Jets have the pieces to be 7-9.
No, they're
6-10. I don't think so at all.
No, they're still a few years away. Darnold showed glimpses of that he could be a legit quarterback in the league.
Yeah, he could, but he ended up doing everything we knew he would do.
It's still a few years away, in my opinion, for the Jets.
All right, Dolphins. They fired Gase. They currently don't have a coach. They don't have a head coach hired. But they're looking at Dennis Allen, Brian Flores, and at defensive coordinator.
Dennis Allen failed as a head coach when he coached at Oakland. That was many moons ago.
Yeah.
He was. I don't know about him. Brian Flores, again, I don't know how, but a lot of the guys from Belichick's coaching tree in New England have not panned out.
No, none of them.
They struggle. So I do not know. Maybe this guy can change the team around. But again, you're facing a division. You're facing Belichick twice a year now, and you just coached under him. So
Yeah.
this guy. Belichick knows his guys very well. So I don't know if that
Yeah, he
works.
beats the shit out of them.
Yep.
And you're looking at Eric Bieniemy. Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Bieniemy,
sure.
Doyle Logans for offensive coordinator for the Dolphins.
Yeah, they need to figure out what they want to do with Ryan.
Yeah, I mean,
Tannehill.
all this says to me is they have all openings and nobody's here to replace anything yet.
Thing is, I think they're also.
I think they're getting ready to have a fire sale on that team too.
The thing is, but they don't have a lot of noble guys. I think
No.
Cameron Rake's getting a little bit. He's getting older.
Yep.
Kiko Alonso, he has.
Kiko Alonso. I mean, granted, don't get me wrong. Kiko Alonso's been a middle of the road linebacker, but
But
he's not.
he was supposed to be much more in my
Well,
opinion.
he was supposed to. His
yeah.
name's big. He was
Yeah.
supposed to be a big name dude.
Yeah, so
What else was I gonna say? Devontae Parker.
he's a solid wide receiver.
He is a solid wide receiver.
He's
That's.
just-
I mean,
he's just not in a great system right now.
no, he's in a trash system. I think he needs a new team. I think if they offload some guys to get a, they have to at this point.
Yeah.
Nothing is working.
Yep.
I don't know. I can't off the top of my head. I don't know what their record was last year.
But the Dolphins.
But I know that they
yeah.
didn't do anything significant.
But I mean, if you look at it, Dolphins haven't been really competitive for a long time.
No, the only team that they beat that's notable is the Patriots, and that was lucky.
Well, they're actually very good against the Patriots at home, so
Yeah.
that's their best. That's
was
what
they
they're
just
known for.
fired their coaches?
Yeah, so.
and I mean that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, whatever. Broncos. They fired Vance Joseph. They hired Vic Fangio.
I think this was a great hire for them. I think.
He's a defensive coordinator, right?
Yes,
Fangio. Yes, he was.
he
So
was-
he's defensive minded. I think that's a good
He
move.
came from the Bears, and again, look at the Broncos have a very good defense. Granted, they're getting,
absolutely.
Granted, the team is getting very old. It's kind of remnants of the Super Bowl team that they had again with Peyton Manning. Again, I think they're a few pieces away from being competitive. On defense, they just need to get a little bit younger. On offense, they need to figure out.
They need a lot of pieces on offense.
They got a running back of the future. If Lindsey.
Philip Lindsay is legit. He is legit.
I-
Philip Lindsay will be a big name next year.
He already was this year. If it wasn't for Saquon Barkley and Baker, I mean, you're looking at
Yeah.
a very good quality running back.
Yes.
He could play. He's very explosive. I mean, he
He has that one cut speed.
he has football speed. Now it's
Oh,
not just that combine speed. I think that which is overrated in my opinion. He has football speed, and he just runs, and he has such an explosiveness and elusiveness that you just don't see much.
You think combine stats are overrated?
Oh
Man, we're gonna have some good talks then coming up here because I think that's what you draft based on.
Lindsey was undrafted.
Come on, I'm playing Madden a lot. Well, that's true, but what was his 40 time?
Let's
Well,
look.
yeah, you look it up real quick. Stick around with us. Yeah, but the Broncos, in my opinion, hiring a defensive-minded coach is a good move because you have some offensive weapons to where that you get halfway
He
minded.
ran a 4.39.
He ran a 4.3.
4.39. So 4.
See, yeah, but you know what? And it translated. I think his agility, his initial acceleration is just disgusting. And then when he hits full speed, he's gone.
He's a great one-cut back.
Yes, he is.
So
Oh, man, he is.
He's definitely a pivotal piece for the Browns.
Absolutely.
Or the Broncos, my bad.
Well, I mean, that would have been great if he was on the Browns too, but I like me some Chubb.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's a great running back.
You know what I'm saying?
I was skeptical of him.
I like the Chubb.
Yeah, I love him. I was skeptical when he's coming out of the draft, or when he's coming for the draft, because when he had the ACL injury, and that almost I think was a Heisman running the year.
Talking about Lindsey?
No, Nick Chubb. He had a great.
Oh, yeah, but...
Hey, and guess what? But if he can stay healthy and avoid that knee injury again, he is a.
Did just fine this year?
Yep.
Took
That's
a whole
what I'm
lot of
saying.
hits?
Just gotta stay healthy.
Moving on to the Bucks. They fired Dirk, Cutter? Cutter.
Yes.
Excuse me. Cutter. And they hired Bruce Arians. Now,
It was definitely an upgrade, though.
it was an upgrade. I think Jimmy and I are at odds here on this one. I don't think that Bruce Arians is the second coming of Jesus. I don't. A lot of people were just gobbling whatever Bruce Arians was spitting, and I remember he said I would definitely come out of retirement to coach the Browns.
I would not
we don't want you. Stay away, dude.
I would not have a problem because he would have kept Kitchens as the quarterback.
He would have kept Kitchens, which is fine. Kitchens is staying anyway.
Yeah.
The problem is, I personally wanted Greg Williams.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted Greg Williams. I wanted him to stay. I knew he was going to improve the defense, and I knew they were going to draft, in a defensive-heavy draft, better pieces to better his defense.
Yeah, if the reports are true with Steve Wilkes becoming the defensive coordinator, I'd be okay with that.
I am. Don't get me wrong. I'm okay with that too.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I like me some double G.
The defensive schemes for Greg Williams was. I mean, you started to see the pieces come together. You saw
he played Jabril's style fine, because now you look at losing him, and I personally feel that Jabril's going to get lost by the wayside. They're going to end up letting him go. He's going to go to free agency next year because I don't think he's going to play well unless Wilkes uses him the way double G did.
But the thing is, the problem is Jabril can't go to New York because they got Jamal Adams, who is
who is insane.
He's one of the only stars on that defense.
Yes, he is.
I mean, besides maybe Leonard Williams, who hasn't been. He's not as much as what I think teams were supposed to be. But
yes.
Yeah. Muhammad Wilkerson. No, Sheldon Richardson, I think. No, he's on the Vikings. No, so
I think it was Muhammad Wilkerson. No, it wasn't.
No, I think both of those guys are gone. But so, anyways, Leonard Williams is your only guy in the front seven that you know. So that's again, you don't have much with the Jets. So.
But I think his scheme will change it.
But I think Bruce Arians was an upgrade to Dirk Cutter because I think you start to get a guy that can maybe figure out what Jameis Winston can do in this league. I think Jameis Winston's been very suspect. Same with Mariota when they came out of the draft.
I don't like Jameis. I mean, when you're sitting there and you're going to tell me that Fitzmagic, a.k.a. what was soon to be my backup on my fantasy team real quick, outthrew and was, in my opinion, he definitely was better than Jameis.
Oh, this year, yeah. I think.
I mean, he's a career backup, and rightfully so.
Yeah,
but Jameis, I mean, to sit there and to deal with the problems he has, and we're going to stick with him. And I think they're only going to stick with him because there's nothing else really available. I truly think he's the best available.
The thing is, though, Winston, the Buccaneers are in the middle of the road, and they're in not a QB heavy draft this year, so they got to stick with Winston.
You have to. And I don't even know who's coming out next year. It's going to be any good.
Yeah, Tua.
Tua. But I mean, that's one guy. But Bama's not known for quarterbacks. He's a good college quarterback.
Yeah, I mean,
the only quarterback that has been any type of relevant that came out of Bama in the last decade has been McCarron. AJ,
but he hasn't gotten,
and he hasn't even gotten really any playing time. He's the only quarterback that has been any kind of good, and I think he was the last one. He's the last one that Belichick played, or not Belichick. I hate to say that, but
again, but a lot of those teams
Saban played like that.
Yeah, the Saban has those. He builds his teams around just great running backs and great defenses and great offensive lines. But the thing is that baffles me is that they have great receivers. They've been producing great. Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley. Those guys came out of Alabama, and you're thinking, who was their quarterbacks? I mean, you just don't.
Amari Cooper.
I mean, again,
don't get me wrong. I actually like Amari Cooper a lot.
Yeah.
That's why he was on my fantasy team. But he had a trash year, and I traded him.
Yeah.
So did Oakland.
Well, again, Oakland doesn't have much pieces when you're pretty much single-handedly playing the pass because you don't have a.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally think that Oakland didn't utilize Cooper properly, and I also think that at the beginning of the year, Cooper was rubbed the wrong way by Gruden, and I think that's why he didn't want to play for Gruden.
Same with Khalil Mack,
And don't get me wrong, Jason Garrett's a trash head coach. Jason Garrett is
he's a yes man at Jerry
Jones. That's it, and that's why they're going to stick with him because they're freaking retarded.
Yeah.
So. I think that's just a joke and a half, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on to the next team, the Bengals. So I say fired Marvin Lewis. They're separate. No. You got fired. I cannot stand that. That franchise has been an absolute joke since they hired him, and it's true.
But the thing is that gets me is that their teams are usually solid. They
usually, and then they do nothing.
But the thing is, the coach is not good.
No.
Marvin Lewis, I think how it works is that, he's one of those guys they're great coordinators. I think Todd Bowles he's another one. Great coordinators. But they just do not pan out as head coaches.
No, not at all. And I don't think that's necessarily their fault, but they're better coordinators.
Yeah, it's just how they are. And, I mean, just the thing that's crazy to me is that he's been on the Bengals for a long
I
time.
can't even give you a year. Look it up real quick. Look it up real quick because I know for a fact that they've won one playoff game.
No, they lost their own 0 for 7.
I mean, come on. I thought they had one. I wanted to give them some credit there.
16 seasons as the head coach of the Bengals.
16 years, and you went to the playoffs. How many times did you say 7?
7.
So you only went 7 times.
I mean,
in 16 years, that's not even half the time.
And
You didn't win a single time.
His career record is 131, 129, and 3, which is only a 500.
Yeah. So what?
He's a mediocre head coach.
Oh, he's got a winning record. Oh my God! You also had Carson frickin' Palmer
He-
as one of your quarterbacks.
But granted, he also Palmer was plagued with injuries.
Yeah, but I mean, I agree and then I disagree.
Well, and I also gotta understand he had Chad Ochocinco in his prime, Chad Johnson, and
God, what T.J. Houshmandzadeh and
they had Terrell Owens at one point, but he was kind of over the hill.
well, yeah, he sure was.
Yeah.
But I mean, come on. I mean, you got Ochocinco and.
I mean, you're talking about he was in his prime at that time.
Yeah, and well, all right. So continuing, the Bengals they haven't found anybody for head coach, and they shouldn't. I mean, not yet anyway. But they're looking at Eric Bieniemy, Bill Lazor, Todd Monken for offensive coordinator.
I'm not familiar with any of these guys.
I guess Monken is he's got some relation to Arians, I think.
Again, I
but
don't know. I think Bengals are in a situation where their premier players, their backbone players, Dalton Green, Geno Atkins, Carlos Dunlap, Vontaze Burfict, all these guys are over the hill, and they don't have the talent to.
They don't have the young talent to help them.
But the thing is, they're a middle of the pack team every year, so they're not getting premier draft guys. And they also don't hold enough in the cap, I think, to go out and get a guy. And they're not an interesting or polarizing team to say, "Oh, I want to go play for them." They're just not.
Nope. I think you fire sale the team.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean,
you get what you can.
Yep, absolutely. AJ Green, he'll get you a second, third round pick.
Yeah, but the thing is, he's 30, and now
exactly. That's the problem.
He's 30.
But I got to be honest. I wouldn't say no if the Browns wanted him.
I mean, depends how much you want to give up because you got to make sure is this guy going to be healthy for me to use him?
Probably not. Well, depending.
Maybe.
I think it depends. I mean, it's the same weather. It's outside. It's cold.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if they would trade him. I don't think they'd trade him to us. I think you'd have to try and work some magic there, or offer a good pick.
Again, Dorsey's done it before, so I wouldn't doubt it, but I don't know.
But they are looking at Zach Taylor, who, if I'm correct, is the quarterbacks coach for the Rams.
Which to me makes no sense.
Is rumored to be their option for head coach. Which, I got to be honest, I like Jared Goff. He was...
Sean McVay's done all that.
Yeah, but Sean McVay's done all that. And, Jared Goff is absolutely an overrated quarterback. Absolutely. Jared Goff is overrated.
I don't know. I think
he is Duncan Dak. He is a lot of Duncan Dak.
I don't know about that.
I disagree.
I think their system is put up in place where, again, look at their wide receivers, Robert Woods, and Brandon Cooks. Those guys are
good. I like Brandon Cooks. I'm not saying he's bad.
I'm at odds with that. I think Brandon Cooks is good, but I don't think he's not the greatest. I think he's a solid play. I think he's a solid piece with, again, I think it's like a Landry situation. Unless he's not Jarvis Landry, I think it's you get him a good number one guy, and I think Cooks thrives. But again, I think Cooks and Woods is not a good one too, in the sense that Robert Woods is great, but the Rams are missing out on that 6'3", 6'4". You just toss it up, he's gonna get it. I mean, they don't have a premier tight end either. Tyler Higbee's a good, solid option. But again, they don't have that red zone threat. I think that is what they're lacking. I think that's why Todd Gurley gets a lot of touchdowns.
Oh, don't get me wrong. Todd Gurley, he's been a gift to this league.
Mm-hmm. He's changed the league, and I think in a way.
Absolutely, I truly feel that. And maybe you know what? I stand corrected. Jared Goff, his average yards per play or whatever. It was 8.4. So Duncan Dak, I you know what? I'll eat crow. I stand corrected.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that, when a push comes to shove here, you look at teams that have running backs like that, and you ask yourself, how are they so successful? And you look at Ezekiel Elliott,
Kareem Hunt when he was in the league.
Kareem Hunt. Well, he's still technically in the league. He's just suspended.
Yes.
And you assume that they just hit these guys coming out of the backfield.
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of it is that.
Yes.
But for a guy who's a quarterback's coach.
Mm-hmm. If this guy, in my opinion, if he was calling the offensive plays and Jared Goff was producing, I would have no problem with the Bengals hiring. But and on a serious note, I think Sean McVay, he's pretty much running that offense, and Wade Phillips is running that defense.
Absolutely, he's
so
running that offense.
if you're telling me that an offensive quarterback's coach, I mean, unless this guy was the reason that Jared Goff is what he is now before Jeff Fisher, was that coach. I mean, I hope maybe this guy could be it.
Yep. But
I don't know. McVay is running the offense essentially for Jared Goff in that offense. So
yeah, I look at it as McVay's doing it. He said the other day, "Oh, I'm flattered people, say they want to find the next me as coach." And it's like, dude, you're 33. Like, you could still be like playing the game.
Oh yeah.
Like you could still go out and catch a pass, buddy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, you sit there and it's. I don't know where he got his fame.
You're looking at a 32-year-old head coach. That's where it's at, and you're talking about a guy that was pretty knowledgeable of the game.
Yeah, and you put all that together, and you have.
You have the head coach of the future, without a doubt. No, I mean, I think he's a great head coach. I mean, you look what he did with the Rams. I mean, you're talking about a team that went to LA very, I think, poorly received, like the Chargers, and then they're turning them into almost a powerhouse. I mean, they're almost there. I think they're a year or two away before they're a legit contender. I think if they can maybe get to the Super Bowl, maybe compete with the Saints this year, I think they're it.
I do too. All right, going on to the Packers. They fired McCarthy. They hired Matt LaFleur.
This one confused me because McCarthy was an he's an offensive-minded coach. I think this guy is. I think McCarthy's better than Matt LaFleur. I don't know much about LaFleur other than he was the Titans offense coordinator, and which gets me is because the Titans
offense was garbage. The Titans offense was awful. So by him going to the Packers, the Titans offense was good because of
Derrick Henry when he was hot.
Hot.
Again, you're talking about the month of December. Where was he the 12
rest of the year?
Yeah. So
I mean, but you look at Pro Football Focus, and he's ranked the number 2 running back behind Nick Chubb.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get that personally. I don't see it. I don't see it at all. But and then you bring this coach over to replace Mike McCarthy, and Mike McCarthy's known as this great offensive mind.
Yeah, guru.
He helped Aaron Rodgers be who he is and grow and be so great. Mm-hmm. And I look at it as no. I think Aaron Rodgers has some incredible talent.
Oh,
and he's got a touch on the ball that you see, two times a generation.
Nope, Aaron Rodgers throws a ball that it's just amazing to watch. Since we live in Ohio, it's not often to see a Green Bay game, but when you see those highlights of him just whipping the ball anywhere and everywhere in that field.
Oh man, he's just it's beautiful.
He made Jordy Nelson look like a premier receiver. he brought back Jared Cook.
Yeah,
I mean, I think Nelson's a great receiver.
I do too. I think Nelson's a good possession receiver.
Oh,
he's
yeah,
a good route runner.
Yeah.
He does not have wheels.
Again, he brought Jared Cook back to life, and now he's in Oakland.
Yep, and
he's making Davante Adams look like a number 1 superstar receiver.
And I don't think he is. I don't think Davante Adams is all that great. But when you have a good guy throwing to you, I mean, just like Drew Brees throwing. Don't get me wrong. I think Michael Thomas is an absolute number 1.
Oh
personally.
yeah,
I think Michael Thomas is a born and bred number 1.
Yep.
What I disagree with is literally any other receiver. Ted Ginn Jr. has never once been a number 1 receiver or a number 2. He is a slot guy at best or a speed guy. He's a deep guy.
Yeah, Drew Brees has I think they have like 2, 3. They have a last guy's name. Hold on, let me look it up real quick.
But I mean, when you look at offenses like that, you look at quarterbacks that make receivers.
Mm-hmm.
Plenty of guys have done it. Manning, Peyton. Eli hasn't.
Tom Brady's had a career.
Tom Brady built his career on that. What do you got?
Yeah, Traquan Smith.
Yes.
Keith Kirkwood, Austin Carr, and Tommy Lee Lewis.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
The only 2 notable guys is Michael Thomas and Brandon Marshall, and I don't even think he's
playing. And the only reason you know anybody else's names is
and Benjamin Watson's walking into the sunset after this year.
Yeah, he's got to be. I mean, I can't believe he played. I got to be honest.
I mean, I think Drew Brees has definitely made a good career for Kamara. Mark Ingram had a revival.
Yeah, he did.
He was supposed to be an animal coming out of Alabama, and look what he is. I think he's definitely done well.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Cardinals fired Wilkes, who the Browns might hire as their D coordinator, and they hired Cliff Kingsbury. Kingsbury.
This again.
Is
when we talked about this earlier. This hire just completely gets me off. I don't.
You get mad? You upset?
No, I'm upset. I'm just
pissed off.
I'm just confused because I don't know.
I don't get it either. I really don't understand.
I don't want to say this guy's
unless they brought him in to take Kyler Murray, which I think is
or he had a pitch where he's making Josh Rosen the next coming of Tom Brady. I don't know.
But there's no there. I mean, I don't know how you prove that. I don't know how you can make that pitch.
Again, when you go 35, 36, and 40, I mean, I know he's known as an offensive guru, offensive mind. Okay, great. Then why is he not the offensive coordinator? And just you get to see what he can bring to the table and do for Rosen.
Yeah, I mean, why don't you feel it out first? Because you look at it, Josh Rosen. He was 29th in yards last year. 29th.
Yes.
As their starter. He didn't even throw 2,300 yards, 55% completion rate. What was that? 28 attempts per game? Yeah. I mean, good God, Baker. Where was he at? Where you at, Baker? Baker threw it 34 times a game.
And he didn't even feel like he threw it that often because they ran the ball. I mean,
yeah. So, I mean, you look at it as... he threw 14 picks, if I'm reading that right. I sure am. He threw 14 picks, and he threw 11 touchdowns. I look at it as, what are you doing? And I think, he took 45 sacks.
Yeah, the offensive line for your Cardinals is not good.
He took...
That's, again, he has to rush his throws, and he only has Larry Fitzgerald.
Took the 7th amount of sacks.
I mean, that's just. I think the Cardinals are in a position where they have a core.
Oh wow, Deshaun Watson took the most. Wow, that's surprising. I didn't think that would be there. Dak, with the arguably one of the best offensive lines in the league, took the second most. Freaking Dak Prescott, Russell. Wow, see, this is actually surprising to see this list. I got to be honest.
Mm-hmm. I think the Cardinals are in a position where they are in a very dark hole in their organization where they don't know what to do. They got a quarterback. I think Rosen can be a great quarterback in this league.
I don't know about great. I think Rosen needs an offensive line.
I think he can be like a Matthew Stafford. I think he's good. He's quality. But he needs weapons around him to thrive. And he doesn't have that in Arizona. I mean, he doesn't even have a defense.
You think he could be a Matthew Stafford?
Yeah.
So a middle of the road guy.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, yeah. All right, I'll give you that. All right, and moving on to our beloved Browns. They fired Hugh. Get out, dude. You're trash. Thank you, Jesus. 2.5 years of just...
second worst head coach of all time.
And second worst? I thought he was the worst.
He's the 215th out of the 216th, if I remember correctly.
Dude, show me. And then they hired Freddie Kitchens, who I got to be honest, I'm not exactly keen on because they literally talked about hiring Freddie. Didn't even have him hired yet until today. 1/12/2019. Just said they were going to offer him the job. Didn't have a contract signed, anything yet. And then they go ahead and they boop, Greg Williams is gone. Mm-hmm. That really upset me. That upset me. But
I want to wait and see a little bit more and see what kind of people we can bring in.
I think that
218th out of 219th by Yahoo Sports.
That's just gross. Who's 219th? Want to see that? But he was a Browns coach.
Burt Bell, who had a 10-46-2 record.
Jeez, I just think that
this guy was also the owner of the Eagles at that time. So
well, what you can do? I think that the Freddie Kitchens is going to be an upgrade over Hugh. Mainly because the team was in better hands with Freddie and Greg.
Yeah, I think the offense definitely trusts Freddie. I think it's more or less trying to get the defense to trust Freddie. I think if that's the case, I think Steve Wilkes, could be a good defensive coordinator. I got
to be honest. I don't think the defense necessarily trusted, I don't think that the offense necessarily trusted Greg. I think that Baker trusted Freddie.
Yes,
and then the offense listened to Baker.
Yeah, I think Baker definitely has to get the team to rally around Freddie. I think he definitely...
I think he will.
I think that's how Freddie got the job.
I do too. I think that's a big reason why Freddie got the job.
Yeah, you have your quarterback of the future, so that's always the main thing, I think, with these coaching interviews.
Yes, agreed.
Granted, I'm not in those interviews, but...
I mean, come on. I mean, you can read the writing on the wall.
Yeah, it's a quarterback league. It's a quarterback-driven league.
Yeah.
You see it.
Yes.
Yep.
Everybody knows it. You see it. Don't be dumb. I mean, don't play stupid about it.
Yes.
All right, so now we're going to move on to our final little portion here. It's going to go quick. We're going to talk about Super Bowl predictions. So if I read it right, Rams did beat the Cowboys. I believe that game just ended.
30-22. Yeah, I mean,
That's awesome. Anyway, because I don't really care for the Cowboys. I like Ezekiel Elliott.
yeah, that's about it.
That is, and I don't mind Amari Cooper
I like
and Van Der Esch,
their defense is.
aka the Flying Dutchman.
I mean, honestly, I really don't like Jason. I don't like Jerry
Jason
Jones.
Garrett's trash. I don't mind Jerry Jones, but Jason Garrett's trash.
Jerry Jones hasn't done anything with his Cowboys since in the 2000s.
He built like $1 billion stadium.
Oh, he's built a great business.
I guess the
but-
stadium's gross. I guess the screen's so big that you
Oh,
when
yeah,
you're
yeah.
in the stadium you have to
Oh,
watch the screen. You can't
Honestly,
even watch
I
the
think
field.
it's the best business It's the best business in sports. I mean, it's the premier business in all of sports.
Yeah, it's gross. But so Super Bowl predictions. I think the Chiefs are going to end up playing. Where are we at? Yeah, the Chiefs are going to end up playing the Chargers. I think the Pats are going to the Chargers are going to beat the Pats. And I think the Rams. Right? Yeah. And I think the Rams are going to end up playing the Saints. I think the Saints are going to beat the Eagles.
Yes, I mean, when you're playing the Saints at home, it's already a tough within
Yep.
itself. And
I think in the Super Bowl it's going to be Chargers Saints, and I think the Chargers are going to win.
I can go around that. I think the Rams can battle with the Saints if they can.
I do too. I think they can battle with them, but
I still think
I
the
think
Rams are a
I
year
think
away.
Jared Goff is a little unproven personally.
Yeah, I want the Chargers to win the Super Bowl. I really I think Philip Rivers deserves his.
I mean, come on, he's about to have his 10th, 15th kid.
Yeah. His ninth.
his ninth kid.
Yeah, he's a good. I mean, I think he's a great quarterback. I think the team is built for this year. I think they can get it done. I think Melvin Gordon can stay healthy. Their defense, I think, is very good. They have a lot of playmakers from Melvin Ingram, Joey Bosa, Brandon Medbane. If he can, I think if he's healthy, Derwin James, Casey Hayward. I mean, there's playmakers on that offense and defense. Mike Williams, Hunter Henry if he plays. Antonio Gates is still viable. You really can't go wrong in that team.
No, I agree. I think the Chargers, if they're going to do it, it's got to be this year.
Yeah, it's got to be this year. Right now, I mean,
You got to take advantage of
Patriots struggling. I mean, unless
which
they come in with a second win and we don't see what we've seen before. I mean, it's hard to say the Chargers because again, the Patriots are such a dominating force.
They are.
In the
When
playoffs.
they're on,
It's
they're
the playoffs, you know.
Yeah.
If Chargers struggle, I think it's because of weather. It's supposed to be really cold tomorrow.
So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yep, but again, they're battle tested. They played the Ravens last week, a run heavy team, which I'm assuming Patriots are going to be doing. So we'll be seeing. We will see.
Absolutely. All right, that was the end of our show. Thank you all for listening. God bless you. Go ahead and follow us on Twitter at sportsav_ or sportsave_ if you want to go ahead and read it out like that. Thank you all again. God bless you. Come back next time.